Welcome to the Cosmic Chosen Channel. You've always known something was different, that your guidance didn't always come from this world. The pull you feel toward ancient knowledge, unexplained visions, and moments of unshakable knowing wasn't taught. It was transmitted, not by books or teachers, but by bloodline. And here's the part they never told you. The woman you call mother may not be the origin of your soul's blueprint, because your real mother, the one encoded with divine DNA, the one who activated your spiritual frequency, has been watching you this entire time in silence. Her protection was never loud, her presence never obvious, but her eyes have been in every shadow that shielded you, every whisper that warned you, every miracle that moved you just in time. The same wisdom that Elon carries in his innovations, it echoes your ancestral code. But yours doesn't come from science, it comes from source. That's why you move like prophecy and think like thunder. That's why doors open that others can't even find. You're not just intelligent, you're remembered. And now the silence is shifting, because the woman who birthed your mission, not just your body, is preparing to reveal what she's kept hidden. She didn't abandon you. She protected you by staying unseen. But the time of silence is ending. You're not just her child, you're her continuation. And now, the world is about to know why. First of all, you're an old brain in a new age, not merely wise. While some individuals get knowledge via study, others receive it from experience. You, on the other hand, are the one who just knows. You're not able to describe it completely. To grasp a situation, you don't need to experience it yourself. You don't require explanations from others. The solutions are already within of you, waiting for the appropriate opportunity to come to light. People pay attention. They want to know how you read between the lines when there weren't many in the first place, and how you found anything out so fast. In actuality, the comprehension comes naturally, but they think you spend hours dissecting things. Your mind seems to be wired differently, as though it has access to knowledge that transcends logic and your years. This goes beyond intelligence. It is possible to measure, train, and enhance intelligence. You possess something even more uncommon, an innate awareness, the capacity to perceive the invisible, and a mind that makes connections between things that others aren't even aware exist. Furthermore, this habit has always existed and is not learnt. You most likely had a sense of being older than your true age, even as a young child. Perhaps you understood ideas that other children found difficult. You may have wondered why grown-ups didn't see things that were so clear to you. Sometimes, people are unsure about how to react to this type of thinking. Some find it disturbing, while others find it admirable. Others act as though it doesn't exist, since it contradicts their beliefs. However, they know deep down that you are unique, and that no amount of education, life experience, or good fortune can account for that. That's what makes you unique. You carry your wisdom. It is not something you seek. It is always there, only waiting to be utilized or comprehended. It's a part of you that cannot be ignored, regardless of whether the world is prepared for it or not. Second, you decipher the world as if it were a secret language. You don't live in a random universe. You find connections where others see coincidences. You hear meaning where they hear words. You've always been able to read the world differently than other people. Nothing is exactly as it seems in conversations, situations, or even the slightest aspects. There is a deeper layer, a secret message, and a pattern in everything that most people miss. You can tell right away when someone is hesitating a bit, when their body language changes, or when anything is going a little too smoothly or a little too oddly. It's instinctive. and you capture it all without even trying. Before other people even know there is anything to notice, your mind has already digested what is happening, so you don't need time to study it. It's common for people to think you know stuff you shouldn't. They are perplexed by it. How did you foresee that result? In the absence of proof, how did you know the truth? Why do you constantly appear to be one step ahead? You're seeing what's truly there, but in a manner that others can't, and they don't know that you're not guessing. This may be annoying because they don't see what you do. They refuse to listen when you observe them enter situations you already know will go awry. They believe their own falsehoods, but you hear the reality underlying what they say. They think they're playing you, but you know when someone is hiding something. Understanding how the world talks to individuals who can listen is more important than having psychic abilities. It may be found in the energy, the patterns, and the minute changes in individuals and circumstances. You decode the world, not simply traverse it. And whether they know it or not, it's why people trust you, why they ask you for guidance, and why they feel that you know something that they don't. Because you always have, and you do. Third, your quiet is a tactic, not a sign of strength. When you remain silent, people believe you have nothing to say. They are unaware that your silence is not a lack of words, but rather a conscious decision. You see, before the conversation ever reaches that point, you already know where it is headed. You are aware of what has been stated and what has been omitted. You can tell when someone is attempting to control you, when they are insecure, or when they are only speaking to fill the void. You take in all that is being stated, not just what is being spoken. That's why you don't talk too quickly. You allow individuals to be themselves. If you give them enough time, they always do. They will reveal their actual motivations, frailties, and anxieties. Although they are only providing you with additional information, they will feel as though they are in charge of the discussion. They exhibit more the more they talk, and you're quietly learning what you need to know while they're busy attempting to prove something. This is mistaken for passivity. They believe you're afraid, disinterested, or disengaged. However, they are unaware that quiet is observation rather than acquiescence. It's a calculation. It is allowing others to express who they truly are without requiring you to take any action. And it's never a waste when you do speak at last. You only express what must be expressed, nothing more or less. Your statements have weight because of this. You strike when it counts, rather than overpowering talks with pointless noise. Some folks find this unsettling. They are uneasy because they have no idea what you are thinking. They are accustomed to people responding quickly, revealing their opinions casually, and blurting things out. However, you maintain your position. You allow quiet to serve your purposes, and you've already won by the time you choose to talk. Fourth, you bend logic instead of following it. The majority of individuals just do what they think is feasible. Their thought processes are linear, their formulae are predictable, and they rarely challenge the rules. You don't. Who decided this was the only way, you ask yourself, looking at those same regulations. Where others see walls, you find doors. You perceive gaps where they see issues. You see logic as clay that can be molded, twisted, and reinterpreted, whereas most others see it as a hard framework. This explains why you seem to have nearly superhuman problem-solving skills. You ask why the box is there in the first place, rather than just thinking creatively. You approach problems in a way that is incomprehensible to others. While you see many possibilities, unorthodox solutions, and secret passageways, others are mired in either-or thinking. It's a fundamental difference in the way your mind engages with reality, not just intelligence. When things turn out the way they never thought they would, people tend to believe you're lucky. However, it's not chance. Rather, it's the capacity to change viewpoints and alter logic itself until what was impossible becomes clear. You realize that the largest barriers are typically delusions. Only those who are willing to accept them may find boundaries. Others may feel uneasy about this. It is disliked by some and admired by others. People find it difficult to comprehend how you constantly appear to be one step ahead of them, how you spot issues before they happen, and how you come up with solutions they never would have thought of. To you, that's just the way your mind functions, but to others, it appears to be magic. The difference is that you modify the logic of the universe to suit you, whilst most people attempt to fit within it. Fifth, it feels like fate is moving while you're around. It's likely that you have seen a change in energy when you walk into a room. People look at you for no apparent reason. For a little while, conversations halt, as if the air itself is recognizing you. It's about something more profound, an invisible force that people sense even if they are unable to articulate it. It's not about appearances, notoriety, or position. Some people's charisma or social abilities make them captivating. You have a distinct magnetism. It's about who you are, not what you say or do. You have a certain quality that draws attention. They perceive you as a presence, and that presence has weight, rather than simply another face in the crowd. People are drawn to you for this reason, sometimes to the extent of obsession. Some people admire you, but they don't quite know why. Others seem uncomfortable, almost intimidated, as though your very presence disturbs them. Your energy is active, which is why. It inspires rather than merely disappearing into the background. It changes the dynamics. People pay attention to you even in informal situations. Some people may become fascinated on you, demanding your attention, your approval, or your recognition. Or you may discover that strangers open up to you, sharing secrets and thoughts they wouldn't otherwise share. Impact is more important than conceit. It just occurs. You don't have to strive. Furthermore, this is about events rather than simply people. When you're involved, things usually turn out differently. Situations take unexpected twists, opportunities present themselves, and tensions can intensify or subside. When you enter a room, it seems as though reality itself changes. Some refer to this as divine alignment, some as fate, and yet others as an aura. Whatever it is, one thing is for sure: things change when you're there. Sixth, you read the lies behind the lies, not simply the falsehoods you see, only when falsehoods are blatantly obvious. For example, when someone falters, avoids eye contact, or provides an explanation that doesn't quite match up. Do most people notice them? Those indications are not necessary. You witness dishonesty before it is completely developed, not just the lie, but also the motivation behind it. You decode dishonesty, not just perceive it. Individuals believe they are deceiving you, but they are unaware that you have already exposed them before they ever speak. You see discrepancies in energy, intention, and conduct in addition to words that others overlook. You realize that every lie has a reason, and that reason is frequently more telling than the lie itself. Because of this, you hardly ever respond when someone attempts to trick you. You already know where their tale is going, so there's no need to call them out. Rather, you observe. You allow them to speak. You give them the impression that they are in charge because they reveal themselves more the longer they attempt to keep up their deception. You become unpredictable as a result. People find it unsettling when they can't decipher your thoughts. You don't offer them the conflict they expect. You're 5 steps ahead of them, yet they assume gullibility. You let them purchase their own noose, but they want to steer the story. This is unnerving to some. They come to the realization, frequently too late, that you were never the one being tricked. You were simply waiting for the truth to come to light, which it always does. And when that time comes, the quiet is sufficient. You don't even need to say, "I told you so." Seventh, you are inexplicable. You are not intelligent. People enjoy classifying things because it gives them a sense of security. They categorize clever people as talented, logical, book smart, street smart, or creative when they meet them. However, such labels don't apply when they meet you. You have access to something that cannot be explained. You don't merely have knowledge. Without instruction, you are able to understand concepts. You think of solutions that no one else thought about. You have a precognitive sense. It is more than simply intelligence, it is something more profound that cannot be quantified or described by credentials. People find it difficult to comprehend you since you don't match their definition of intellect. You're unique. This may be annoying. People attempt, but are unable, to explain your way of thinking. They believe you must have done a great deal of studying and thorough analysis. They fail to see that comprehension doesn't always come via studying. Sometimes it comes instantly, as though the information was just waiting for you to see it. People are unable to foresee your next action because of this. You don't think like them, even though they do. They attempt to predict your choices, but your mind generates its own reasoning instead of adhering to their. As a result, you are incomprehensible to them, unstoppable and unreadable. You've probably realized that although some people find this about you admirable, others find it unsettling. Because they don't understand you, some people want to disparage you, while others want to learn from you. The irony is that you never made an effort to stand out or be mysterious. You simply are. That's what makes you inexplicable to other people, and occasionally even to yourself. Eighth, without a word, you force others to face themselves. People are uneasy around you for some reason, not because of anything you do on purpose, but rather because of what you stand for. They are unable to conceal themselves from you. They give off the impression that you can see right through their carefully crafted public persona, their masks, and their words. They feel seen in a manner they're not used to. And for many people, that's frightening. It's not that you're passing judgment on them. This quality about you is admired by some. They are drawn to you because they want your enthusiasm, your intelligence, and your capacity to notice things that they have been neglecting for years. They expose secrets and fears they have never stated out loud to you, and they do so without knowing why. They seem to feel that you already know, and you do, in a sense. Unspoken suffering, unresolved feelings, and discrepancies between someone's words and their actual feelings are all things you may sense. Not everyone, however, is prepared for that level of clarity. Without even recognizing it, some individuals are afraid of you. When you are with them, they get defensive and agitated for no apparent reason. They could even harbor animosity toward you without knowing why. It's not personal. Rather, it's a reflection of their own internal conflict. You make them face the aspects of themselves they would like to avoid, the realities they have hidden behind years of self-deception. This explains why you see that others either attempt to avoid you or have a great deal of regard for you. There is no middle ground for you. People are forced to confront their own reality by the insight you provide. In actuality, not everyone is prepared to face themselves. Number 9. Power finds you even when you don't seek it out. Some people spent their whole lives vying for power, going to whatever lengths to advance in society, acquire clout, and establish dominance. You're unique. Power always seems to find you, even when you don't actively seek it out. You attract leaders, visionaries, creatives, and intellectuals because they see something in you that they lack, not because you demand their attention. You have a deeper understanding of things than others do. The patterns that forecast success and failure, the undercurrents of human nature, and the invisible forces that affect events are all visible to you. You comprehend the inner mechanics of influence, such as how energy, intention, and invisible forces create the apparent world, while others concentrate on exterior tactics and manipulations. Powerful people frequently want to hear your point of view. They seek you out for advice, insight, or just to spend time with you. Some admire and acknowledge your wisdom. Others realize that being in your orbit makes them better, sharper, and more alert. But they don't quite grasp why they are pulled to you. Because of this, you frequently end up in influential situations without even trying. Even though you don't struggle for power, people instinctively look to you for guidance. People naturally follow your direction, even if you don't have to urge it. It's about understanding, not about control or domination. You have an advantage over people who just think at the surface level because you can see the wider picture. Alignment, or being in sync with forces bigger than oneself, is what true power is all about, not pursuing control. And for that reason, power follows you. 10th, you absorb rather than merely learn. Memorization is the primary method of learning for most people. They study, read, and repeat material until it becomes ingrained in their minds. For you, however, knowledge is something you become rather than something you gain. When you come across new concepts, they become more than simply facts in your head. They become a part of who you are, how you think, see, and navigate the world. You seldom forget what's really important because of this. You absorb knowledge instead of storing it as other people do. When you acquire knowledge, it changes your thinking rather than merely existing in it. You embrace wisdom rather than merely remembering it. You differ from others who hoard information like trophies because of this. Despite their excellent resumes, degrees, and qualifications, their comprehension is still limited. They are aware of things, but they are not really familiar with them. Contrarily, you take what you learn and transform it into wisdom. You use it without having to rely on rote memory. It comes naturally to you. People are frequently taken aback by your level of knowledge because of this. You may have a strong understanding of something even when you haven't studied it properly. You understand things more quickly than others, not because you've studied them for years, but rather because they make sense to you in a manner that's difficult to describe. It seems as though you just needed to acknowledge the wisdom that was waiting for you. And that's the distinction between learning and absorbing. The former involves gathering knowledge, while the latter involves evolving into something more. 11th, you unintentionally shatter people's realities. The majority of people live inside the conceptual framework that society, their families, and their own experiences have given them. They construct their views, identities, and beliefs inside a familiar and secure framework. Then they run into you, and all of a sudden, that framework begins to fracture. Although you don't make an effort to alter people's opinions, your sheer presence contradicts them. Your thoughts, your perspective on the world, and the realities you express make people reevaluate their preconceived notions. You present viewpoints that people have never thought of. You point out errors in their reasoning because you have a different perspective, not because you are conceited. This is freeing to some. They are energized, aroused, and ready to learn more and investigate novel concepts. They sense a change in themselves, as if a long-suppressed urge had been roused. Even while they might not fully understand what's going on, they are aware that being near you alters them. However, not everyone is prepared for such a change. Some respond violently or defensively. Because it jeopardizes the security of their meticulously crafted worldview, they oppose what you stand for. They reject you rather than challenging their own views. They attempt to discredit you, make fun of you, or remove themselves from you. Not because you're wrong, but because they're scared of what might happen if you were correct. People either develop in your presence or leave your life for this reason. You don't let delusions continue to exist. You don't adjust to fictitious realities only to please others. And whether they accept it or resist, one thing is for sure: once they've met you, they won't be able to hide what you've shown them. Number 12. You are a model for the future, not a rebel. People frequently think you're a rebel because you challenge authority, defy convention, and upset the status quo. That's not entirely it, though. Rebellion isn't the reason you're battling the system. You're neither impulsive or chaotic. In actuality, you're creating something new. You perceive the shortcomings of the existing systems because you know they are out of date, not because you oppose them. You challenge things because you envision a better way, a future that others aren't yet prepared for, not just because you want to. Your thoughts, ideas, and anticipated changes are not impulsive acts of rebellion. Rather, they are blueprints. They provide hints about what will happen next. People frequently misinterpret you because the world hasn't yet caught up to your vision. Every significant change in history was initially viewed as a danger, until time proved them correct. Innovators, artists, and profound thinkers were branded as radicals, troublemakers, or dreamers. You belong to that family. One day, what appears odd to others today will become clear. People aren't prepared to perceive what you see, which is why you encounter opposition rather than because you're mistaken. You are admired by some for this. They understand that you're ahead of the curve and that you can look beyond boundaries. Even if they don't fully comprehend your views, they are nonetheless captivated to them. But some respond fearfully. They characterize you as tough, impractical, or rebellious because they cling to what they know. However, you're laying the groundwork for future developments rather than attempting to destroy things. The current world isn't completely in line with you yet, which is why you frequently feel out of place. However, the future will resemble what you have been saying all along, far more. 13th, people want your approval even when you don't need it. You don't have to always seek permission to do what you do. Because you don't base your value on other people's perceptions of you, you don't seek approval from them. You trust your own judgment and are aware of who you are. And as a result, even if they don't acknowledge it, people start looking for your acknowledgement. It's not that you're purposefully refusing to provide your approval. Rather, it signifies something when you do. People may tell you don't take your approval lightly. They are aware that you are not impressed by flimsy shows of confidence, social standing, or superficial accomplishments. When you see someone's potential, it's because you truly believe they have something to offer. Because of this, your recognition is extremely precious, uncommon, and fulfilling. For this reason, often without even realizing it, people want to prove themselves around you. To gain your respect, they change what they say, highlight their accomplishments, or minimize their fears. They know deep down that your acceptance isn't the same as the affirmation they receive from others. Therefore, it's an unconscious reaction. It's not provided out of courtesy, nor is it performative. It has actual weight. Strangely enough, people covet your approval because you don't look for it. They are accustomed to individuals who are always trying to get attention, who give meaningless praise, and who manipulate others' approval for their own benefit. That's not what you do. Your presence is more potent because you are not needy. Others find your confident demeanor admirable, as they aspire to possess it themselves. This does not imply that you despise or withhold praise from others. Conversely, it's really valuable when you do provide support or acknowledgement. People can sense the difference. It's about sincerity, not dominance or superiority. Number 14. You realize that real knowledge is the ability to let go. The greatest wisdom is letting go rather than only knowing. A lot of people believe that wisdom is about learning new things, developing new perspectives, and comprehending the intricacies of life. Knowing when to let go is the actual measure of wisdom, even though that is a component of it. Trying to make someone comprehend something they're not ready for is a waste of energy. When no one is there to hear you, you don't fight to be heard. When someone doesn't value your presence, you don't pursue them. They won't listen to you right now, but you know with a certain peaceful assurance that time will teach them. You move differently because of this. You disconnect because you realize that comprehension cannot be coerced, not because you don't care, whereas others become engrossed in disputes and attempt to establish their perspective. Certain individuals can only comprehend what you see after life has humbled them enough to be receptive to it, and certain things can only be acquired via experience. This does not imply that you are uncaring. On the contrary, it is the reverse. You acknowledge growth's natural schedule, but yet showing concern. You realize that wisdom is about sowing seeds and letting them bloom in their own time, not about persuading others to share your vision. When they eventually understand what you meant all along, some will bloom, some will wither, and some won't bloom until years later. After some time has gone, you've probably seen that some people return to you and say, "Now I understand." You don't gloat when they do. You only nod, since you already knew they would eventually arrive without saying, "I told you so." Being wise is trusting the process rather than trying to control it. You realize that everything happens as it should, which is why you leave when necessary, not with resentment, but with serenity. Conclusion: The Chosen One's unseen journey. People like you have always been hard for the world to grasp. You don't cleanly fall into any one category, and you don't take the typical route. In ways that transcend understanding, you destroy illusions, change energy, bend logic, and embody knowledge. Even if they are unable to precisely describe it, people feel that you are unique. Some people fear you, some adore you, and others spend their whole lives attempting to understand you, never understanding that the answers they seek lie within themselves rather than in you. You were never supposed to fit in. Rather, you were supposed to upend, awaken, and expose individuals to worlds other than their own. It's not always simple. It might be lonely. It may cause you to wonder why you perceive things so clearly, while others appear to be living in delusions. But realize that your route is deliberate, not an accident. The world is still lagging behind you, but you are a living blueprint for something bigger. Although truth itself is validated by your presence, you do not require validation. Although power knows you, you don't seek it out. You build a new foundation where the old one is collapsing, not rebel just for the sake of rebelling. You trust time to accomplish what words cannot, so you don't spend energy trying to persuade the blind to see. The invisible, the ways you change the course of events just by being, are what make you so beautiful. Your presence makes an impression, whether others realize it or not. You are a force, a reminder that wisdom is about understanding when to let go as much as having information. The world will sense you, even if it doesn't always comprehend you. And it is the legacy of a chosen one beyond everything else. Don't keep it to yourself if this spoke to you, if you recognized yourself in these words, and if you sensed their veracity. Click subscribe to join a community that truly understands. Please let me know which portions most resonated with you by leaving a comment below and like the video. It helps bring more chosen ones together, individuals who need to hear this as much as you did. Your interaction isn't just for the stats. Furthermore, remember to forward this to someone who needs a wake-up call. By just sharing this, you never know whose reality you could change. I'll see you in the next one, and remain in touch and mindful.